Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Well, if you woke up today and you checked your crypto portfolio and you said, what in the ever-loving hell is going on? You're not the only person. So what is happening? Why is XRP up? Why is Bitcoin up? Why is ETH up? And pretty much everything under the sun. Well, it's because of the headline that's on your screen today from CoinDesk. Ether ETF's filing process sees abrupt progress, though approval not guaranteed. Sources. Now, I've been saying for months on end now, I do not believe for a moment that a spot ETH ETF is actually going to get approved, but insiders are saying the SEC is actually playing ball here. So although it's not guaranteed, and I'll just tell you this, I don't know what to think at this point. Maybe it actually is going to happen, but I will tell you, if so, that's absolutely shocking and kind of hard to believe still. We're going to know, presumably within a matter of days at this point. There's also this headline from Forbes. Top CEO bets on a shock Biden crypto flip as Congress hurdles toward a crucial vote that could blow up the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and, drum roll please, XRP. I wouldn't mind seeing that price of XRP blow up. So what in the ever-loving hell is going on? So SEC potentially doing a 180. I mean, if you compare what they've said publicly about ETH and some of the question marks up in the air surrounding that, and then you look at what's happening with the Biden administration here, which has been very anti-crypto. Are they actually going to flip this? Is this upside down world? What the hell is there something in the water? I don't understand what's going on here. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And folks, I'll tell you this. We're in a bull market here. This is going to be one hell of a year regardless. I mean, talk about adding fuel to the fire, though. If this happens, especially this spot ETH ETF, if this actually gets approved, that could very well, likely will be, the catalyst that we need to get things really moving to the upside, perhaps even sooner than they otherwise would have. So let's jump into this. The exchanges that want to list and trade shares of spot Ether exchange-traded funds are abruptly being asked by regulators to update key filings related to these products. Exchanges are being asked to update 19B-4 filings on an accelerated basis by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Three people familiar with the situation told CoinDesk, suggesting they may be moving to approve these applications ahead of a key deadline this Thursday. So I'll pause to note here. And I know all of you are aware, of course, that the spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved in the beginning part of January this year after over a decade of attempts from an untold number of entities trying to get spot Bitcoin ETFs approved. I will tell you this. In all of those instances, up until this point where they finally got approved in January, the SEC was never actively participating in asking for pretty much anything. So when we saw that leading up to the spot Bitcoin ETF approvals, that was a strong sign, hey, this is different actually. It looks like the SEC is actually going to approve this. The fact that the SEC now is asking for anything and actually working with these firms on the topic of a spot ETH ETF, I gotta admit that's telling. I sure as hell wasn't expecting this, but I don't think anybody was. So, and still, it doesn't mean for sure it's going to get approved, but let's continue. So anyway, that doesn't mean the ETFs will be authorized, though. Would-be issuers also need their S1 applications approved before the products could begin trading. SEC could take an indefinite amount of time to approve the S1 documents, one person familiar with the matter said, as it isn't tied to a deadline. One company in talks with the SEC said it feels like it might be on the right track for approval, and a turnaround from feeling some weeks ago that the SEC was dragging its feet, according to a person familiar with the matter. Bloomberg Intelligence ETF analysts Eric Balchunas and James Seifert raised their odds for the approval of a spot Ether ETF to 75% from 25% on Monday after hearing chatter that the SEC could be taking a more favorable stance towards the applications. They later corrected their statement saying that the odds were related to the 19B-4 approvals. The SEC is expected to make a decision on VanEck spot Ether ETF on May 23rd. Okay, so just a few days away. You guys will have to tell me in the comment section below if you think this is actually going to happen. Is this a fake out? Is there some other reason that they're looking like they're playing ball? Would that help them in any sort of legal aspect of any case whatsoever? Because, if this doesn't ultimately get approved, I will not be surprised to see lawsuits. Is there some sort of strategery going on behind the scenes that they've thought up that we are just unaware of? Or is this a sign that they're actually going to get approved? At this point, I mean, it's new information, so it's got me questioning this more than I ever did before, but it's just hard for me to believe still that Kim Jong-Gensler, supreme leader and dictator of the SEC, would actually be willing to approve this, because the only reason that the spot Bitcoin ETFs got approved was because Gensler, I believe anyway, clearly felt the pressure, especially after losing that lawsuit with Grayscale. So it is what it is. Here's a post from attorney James Murphy, known as Meta Lawman, on X. He said, "Wow, I did not see this coming. I may have underestimated the political might of Larry Fink and BlackRock. If spot ETH ETFs are approved this week, it would be a massive blow to the anti-crypto army. Expect mass desertions to the 'if you can't beat 'em, join 'em' club." Yeah, so he's spot on with that, if this does indeed happen here. And so that's another possibility, or maybe it's not something from a legal perspective. Maybe they're not trying to cover their own asses. Maybe it is the case that the political might, as attorney Murphy put it, with Larry Fink, of CEO of BlackRock, maybe just through his own connections, was actually able to sway the SEC. Who knows? It's totally plausible. But what about this? Do you guys remember this headline from a few weeks ago? SEC seeks to regulate ETH as a security, consensus alleges in lawsuit. And so I covered this at length at the time. It's been almost a month at this point. But consensus actually, after they got their Wells notice from the SEC, which is an indication that the SEC intends to sue, and I've said it's a virtual certainty they will. They don't send out these Wells notices and then typically not sue. They almost always sue, especially in crypto cases. I've never heard an exception to that. So they got their Wells notice, the SEC claiming ETH itself as a security, and then consensus sues the SEC proactively, which is all well and good. Yeah, go after them. I mean, I encourage that, right? Because this defensive approach isn't exactly doing so well for firms. So go after them. Sure, from a legal perspective. But is it the case that the SEC is actually going to vote to bring these lawsuits forward against firms like the Ethereum Foundation and Consensus? Are they going to bring these lawsuits forward and then also approve an ETH spot ETF? That would be weird, would it not? And so I wrote to attorney Murphy here and I said, I find this particularly fascinating in light of the fact that the SEC recently issued Ethereum-related Wells notices. Would the SEC really approve the ETH ETF and also vote to bring lawsuits forward? And attorney Murphy did respond to me and he said, I was rolling around the same question in my head. I don't see how the SEC could approve the ETF and, at the same time, maintain the position that ETH is an unregistered security that cannot legally trade on exchanges. Yeah, talk about speaking out of both sides of your mouth. I don't see how that's a good look for the SEC, but they're also a bunch of asshat pricks, and they don't really care about, being hypocritical or anything of that sort. Here's a post from attorney Jake Stravinsky. He said, if the spot ETH ETF is approved, it will be a true shock to everyone I know in DC who's close to this process. That doesn't mean it won't happen. It means approval could signal a major shift in the U.S. crypto policy after the SAB 121 vote, perhaps more important than the ETH ETF itself. And so I'm sure many of you will recall what's it called? SAB Staff Accounting Bulletin 121 that the SEC issued. Many politicians in the House have stated that it was actually illegal. The House voted to repeal the thing. The Senate also voted to repeal the thing. Now we're waiting to see how President Biden responds to this. It's an anti-crypto policy. Basically, it makes it so that no financial firm can custody crypto in the United States. It's basically what it, like, in a nutshell anyway. And so the House said, no, you can't do this. Voted to repeal it. Again, same for the Senate. So now either Biden will sign this, which will actually repeal the thing, or he will actually have to send it back to, I believe, go back to the House, and then you'd have to have, I think, two thirds of the House vote to approve it, which is less than what voted here. Same, or at least for I know that's true for the Senate anyway. I'm pulling from memory because it's been several days, but still, President Biden said he ain't going to sign this thing. He says he will absolutely veto it. He put out an actual declaration in writing on May 8th. So is he going to do a 180 on this and actually approve this? Well, take a look at this headline from Forbes. Top CEO bets on a shock Biden crypto flip as Congress hurdles toward a crucial vote that could blow up the price of Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP. So I will say this, even if the SEC continues to be a bunch of baby back biachas, and even if Biden doesn't do a 180, we're still going to see some serious fireworks this year in crypto, I believe. I think XRP is going to absolutely melt faces, so my expectation wouldn't change, but things could happen sooner with developments like these potentially. And who knows, maybe with that, there result in X amount more adoption in crypto this market cycle. So yeah, it could certainly propel things, at least to some degree. Anyway, so this Forbes piece reads as follows. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, including major coins, Ethereum, and XRP, are braced for a game-changing vote in Washington next week. The Bitcoin price has rocketed 10% over the last week, climbing back towards $70,000 per Bitcoin and boosting the price of Ethereum, XRP, and other cryptocurrencies, as Twitter founder Jack Dorsey unveils his plan to blow up the Bitcoin price. Now, after Shark Tank billionaire Mark Cuban issued a sharp warning to President Joe Biden over crypto, U.S. lawmakers are on the brink of a landmark crypto vote that some of the biggest crypto companies have called crucial for the future of the U.S. industry. Scroll. Next week, House lawmakers will vote on the Financial Innovation and Technology for 21st Century Act, known as FIT 21, which could promote the Commodity Futures Trading Commission to a major crypto regulator and carve out which areas of the Bitcoin and crypto market are overseen by the SEC. And I'll pause to say, hopefully none of it. Proven that they are not remotely competent. Or, well, I should say this. So they're not always good at the lawyering because they think they can get away with speaking out of both sides of their mouth. But maybe that's just bad strategic mistakes. I don't think they're all actually stupid. I mostly just think they're bad people, just to be honest. I think they're just awful creatures. Anyway, piece continues. It would also set guardrails against risky behavior and establish consumer protections for the custody of cryptocurrencies and how they should be treated in bankruptcy. By passing this legislation, we can accelerate the growth of blockchain technology and digital assets, fostering financial inclusion and protecting national security. The Crypto Council for Innovation, a coalition of crypto companies and organizations that includes major exchanges Coinbase and Kraken, as well as investor Andreessen Horowitz, and the sprawling digital currency group Crypto Empire, wrote in an open letter to lawmakers. Man, that's one hell of a freaking run-on sentence. It is crucial for the U.S. to maintain its leadership in financial innovation. Some crypto companies have threatened to abandon the U.S. entirely due to the lack of clear crypto rules and regulations, with industry leaders complaining there is no permitted route to market for crypto financial products. This week, Congress overturned a crypto accounting policy from the SEC that had prevented the likes of Wall Street's biggest banks and similarly tightly regulated financial companies from custodying Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, with the resolution winning support from a dozen Democrats, despite President Joe Biden's promise to vote if it reaches his desk. They meant veto. Are they? Is Forbes basically the equivalent of a crypto media outlet now that just writes stuff and then doesn't read what it wrote, and there's just endless errors in it constantly? Oh Lord. Anyway, this is a big deal. Noel Atchison, author of the Crypto is Macro Now newsletter, wrote in a note. At the risk of buying too much into the crypto echo chamber glee, this does feel like a political signal that suggests a deepening divide in the Democratic Party. Okay, and so it's very clear that, broadly speaking, and this is just fair and accurate based on actual votes, the Republican Party, they're towing the party line. Pretty much everybody's pro-crypto, and almost everybody on the other side, the Democrats, are anti-crypto. It's partisan, and it should not be. There's nothing inherent about crypto that should result in this being a partisan issue in any capacity. But the politicians made it that way because they're politicians. It's pretty damn awful. So, this isn't going to stand. Like, obviously, anybody that's anti-crypto, they're on the wrong side of history, and this isn't going to play. Let enough time pass. There will be nobody that's anti-crypto in Congress. Nobody. Question is, can we get rolling in that direction a little bit quicker? And at least some are defecting from the party line here in the Democrat Party. So that part's good. Yay, those people. But it's a small percentage of the party. And these people have actual power. And they can actually vote. So what's going to happen here? Because this is what I was talking about before I started covering this article. SAB 121. That is what they're referencing here with the SEC. Will this thing actually be vetoed? Yeah, he'd probably be successful. I don't think he has the votes I don't think the votes exist to overturn it. But to what end is that helpful for Biden? politically, just politically, I don't see it. I do not see how that makes a damn bit of sense. So we're going to find out together, but within the next few days, I mean, if there's actually a spot ETH ETF approved, things are going to get absolutely bonkers here. So buckle up, folks. It's going to be a fun rest of 2024. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.